So we're just going to take a little minute here, introduce ourselves. My name is Joel. I played D&D as a kid, and then my brother killed my character. And then I screamed probably a lot, and then that's when our parents said, "That's it, you're not playing anymore." And so that was I had to take a break from D&D from that point for many, many years. And then it wasn't, then about 14 years ago, started playing some board games with these two guys as well as a few others. And I can't remember which one of you was the first to say, "Hey, maybe we should try some D&D." Either one of you want to take credit for that?
Probably Tom that first time when we played first edition. So.
Right.
First edition.
That's it. So we rolled up some characters, really had no idea what we're doing. We used Lego as minis, and it lasted a couple sessions.
I had to add a female cleric named Lady Lay.
That's her, named after the Bob Dylan song. And we kind of abandoned it. And then I think it was probably about a year later that Rob, you said,
a couple years later.
Hey, how about we try? There's new D&D, 5th edition. Let's give that a shot.
Edition.
And so we've been playing that since. We're usually part of a bigger group where currently Rob is DMing us through the Curse of Strahd, which is turning into a major shit show. After 2 years of being very careful, we're kind of playing with the reckless abandon now.
That's it.
Yeah, yep. Tom's character's been touching every amber sarcophagus he can. And it's falling into chaos. So that's my... and then so besides this group, I DM another stream called Torn from the Pages. I DM another group of Curse of Strahd with a few friends. And I'm just wrapping up a stream of... not a stream, sorry. Feels like I'm doing a lot of streams. I'm just wrapping up a group of Dragon of Icespire Peak. And so I don't get to play as often, but as that kid who never got to DM, I'm pretty happy with that fact that I get to DM now. So that's my little bit about me.
Go Tom.
All right. Well, very good. I have to say, being friends with Joel has brought me back to my... I played original edition D&D way back in the early 80s. And when we restarted it that 10 or 12 years ago, was Keep of the Borderlands, basic D&D, where armor class, the lower the armor class, the better.
I had a dwarf fighter, I think.
Yeah.
And he was Buxton. And
that was Buxton.
We got into some dungeon, and the first thing he did was fall into a trap and couldn't get out. Nobody was throwing me a rope.
We left you there for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Tom and I have known each other for 25 years now, Tom, I think. Our wives often say that we are brothers from different mothers, but we haven't had DNA tests, so we're not totally sure about that.
Yeah, but we keep our wives separate.
Right.
Important thing to remember, make note of. The D&D though, it's tell you, I come from the sort of the old school of DMing where, if you have a question, you just make it up. Just make up the answer and wing it. It's a lot more prescribed and probably better that there's a little more rigor around the rules it's still decision making around those rules, but there's a logic to it that it's a lot of fun. And I don't really DM anymore, so I'm having a lot of fun playing. So thanks for having me.
Tom is a great role player as well. He's it's always fun to have. He creates some interesting characters. So, and in Dynamic Duo, he had to create 4 characters. So I'm looking forward to getting to know each of these different personalities. What about you, Rob?
Yeah, the humans in a halfling body. That's going to be interesting.
Yeah, totally. And then there's Rob. Rob and I have known each other for almost 25 years too, I think, eh?
Yeah.
Went to university together and, hung out, sporadically for about 5 or so years. And then since playing games together, we've seen each other quite often.
Yeah.
But he's kind of Rob is kind of my D&D mentor.
Oh wow! No,
Yeah.
that's crazy talk. I don't know about that. Yeah, no, I've been playing D&D. I think the first time I must have been in about grade 2 or grade 3, and one of my kind of older family friends kind of played D&D, and then I was like, oh, that just seems so cool. And so the first D&D thing I ever bought was the first edition character sheets. And I didn't have the rule book or anything, but I just figured out that I could probably figure out what to do. And so I just started filling in a character sheet, having no idea about what dice to use or anything like that. And then a few years later, this family friend gifted me his kind of first edition rule books that I still have around somewhere, and I pull out every now and again and just flip through for nostalgia's sake. And I played mostly through kind of university, ran a couple of games and played in a couple of games, and then kind of the rest of life happened. It didn't play for a number of years, and then we tried our game there with Lay Lady Lay. That was good times, and I really enjoyed it, but I wasn't sure everyone else did. And then I got turned on to 5th edition through a colleague I transferred where I was working, and it just kind of came up in conversation. I just kind of had listened to him talk, and I'm just kind of like, I think he knows about Dungeons and Dragons. Like, I mean, 5 or 6 years ago, it was still kind of like, kind of this insider thing, right? Like, oh, hey, this person might play Dungeons and Dragons. And so he told me, I play 5th edition, and, and I'm like, 5th edition? Holy moly, what did I miss? And so I skipped right over 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. And jumped right into 5th. And then after playing for a while, I talked to these guys and I said, hey, how about we go again at D&D? So I run the Curse of Strahd campaign for these guys. And then I'm running a Theros campaign that Joel's playing in as well right now as the ever-living fun satyr. Just jumping around and shouting out for Erois all the time, so that's great.
Yeah, it's a satyr with who is kind of jovial and fun-loving, but wants to be really tough, and so he dances around and plays songs and he acts silly. He's a little bit impulsive, but when it comes to battle, he's all like, "All right, for Erois." And he gets like the Batman voice kind of.
Yeah, and I think one of the greatest accomplishments is passing it on to the next generation too. I think all of our kids, we all have kids, and I think all of our kids play or do things around Dungeons and Dragons or Dungeons and Dragons type stuff. And I know for me, getting my son involved and getting him playing, and now he's off playing other tabletop role-playing games too, and that's really exciting to see.
Mm-hmm. That's fun.
Should be noted, Joel, that you and your brother have buried the hatchet and now play D&D together again.
Right? That's right. And it took about 30 years, but I had my revenge on him when his character was killed by Strahd. And I double-checked with the DM. I said, is there any hope of us reviving? The DM said no. I said, all right. I cut off his head. And it was That was a part of my childhood that then, it healed at that moment. Yeah.
Well,
Brought
there
you
you
and your
go.
brother closer together. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.